Hello, treasured rats of our hearts. Boy, do we have a little gift of an episode today for you.
Yep.
We have dear friend of ours, Dr. Esmé Louise James on the pod. Say hello.
Hello.
Esmé is an unbelievable sex historian. She's literally a doctor of sex history. That's all I have to say to you. And this is 60 minutes of us going, more fun facts, more fun facts. So please enjoy. It is a fantastic.
We are so excited for this episode. This is a long-awaited episode that we've had in our little brains for so long. We are joined by, get ready for this, a sex historian, a journalist, an author, a very famous content creator. It is the brilliant Dr. Esmé Louise James. Say hi.
Hello, you've made me blush now. That was so much.
Your credentials, when looking at you online, you know, when someone has a Wikipedia, I'm like, oh. When someone has an actual Wikipedia, I'm like, right, I'm going in. We are so happy that you're here today.
I also have to say, literally immediately, Esmé, of course, when you arrived and you trotted your little tushy through that door, I went, of course she is dressed so beautifully to the absolute nines. Like just for those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, we've got a maroon heel.
Yep.
What would you describe this as?
It's like pajamas with pizzazz.
It's like a deep, plummy terracotta silk jumpsuit.
Oh, I haven't shown you the pièce de résistance.
Oh my God, show.
No, shut
Get
up.
out of town.
No, shut up.
That will be a signed, no hat, no play.
The way our
the
merch
woman
has
for
never
me.
looked hotter.
Literally. And then
Here to play.
she also had, Esmé was also wearing this like quilted coat trench, and it was us sitting here in our shitty tracksuit going, with a silver earring on going, Mama.
You are so mama.
So good.
Before we get into what you do, I want to ask, have you always been a glamorous girl? Have you always liked glamour and, you know, the red
dressing
lip
up.
and the dressing up and the
Everything.
jewelry? Have you always been like that?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Like when you go back to the era of MySpace where you were editing everything on Photo Bucket.
Yes.
I was going hard with my lace gloves, my teacup in front of my face, and just like my Dangerfield dresses. Like,
Were you a famous girl on Tumblr? Did you have a thriving Tumblr account?
no, I was really in the blog sphere, but like I think I was hosting at one stage like 50 different blogs because I couldn't decide what my niche was.
So good.
I even went into like deep spiritual blogs for a while. Like,
I love that.
Tell us about them.
Bible verse Esmé. What's
I
her
believe
story?
It was called The Eye in the Sky. And
that's perfect.
I was having segments about like why can't we all just be equal and love one another?
Oh,
yeah.
Of course you were.
As you should.
Of course you were.
So not
Oh my
Tumblr,
God.
but just like spiritual psychosis.
That's so good. For anyone that hasn't had the pleasure of knowing who you are, which then they're not on the internet because you're so fucking famous. You are so cool. Can you tell people what you do, who you are? Who are you?
What a great question.
Yeah.
Go back to my spiritual psychosis.
Yeah, for God's sake.
So I'm a sex historian, which basically looks at the history of all of the ways that we've fornicated and frolicked throughout the centuries. Everything from little known stories from the ancient world to little known facts about famous historical figures, which kind of really took off on TikTok in 2020.
Yeah.
That real lockdown era where we saw the spiral. And now it's kind of transitioned to, you know, podcast, long form.
Yeah.
Every live show. You
Live
have a live
shows.
show.
You've truly made a
live show.
career. I'm so proud of you as well, seeing someone, because the TikTok was the thing that came first. Is that correct? Is that what kind of brought you a much bigger audience? Was it
Yes.
TikTok?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of freelance writing about topics around then, and I just finished working on this article called like the history of the dildo.
Yeah.
And it came out, and you know it had about 250 readers, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my god! And then I was scrolling on TikTok that night, and I was pissed drunk, and I was like, I reckon that I could talk about my stories about dildos here as well. And I like read out the first paragraph of this article because I was drunk, completely fucking forgot about it. And then 2 days later realized it had blown up and I had like my first 10,000 followers there. And I was like, oh,
That's
a
insane.
few more people saw than the 250 that had been so excited.
Oh my
about.
God. And so the writing you were doing before that was on blogs, were they like personal blogs or were you writing for publications type of thing?
I was writing for publications. One fact that I don't think I've ever spoken about. I was actually a best-selling Christian children's author.
You're kidding.
I'm not.
Thank you for giving us the Rat Bag exclusive. That's so hot.
My favourite thing about something happens when people come on the Rat Bag pod and they sit on these cunty little chairs. People, there's something about it. I don't know if it's something in us. We unlock these insane secrets in people that they've never said on microphone.
Therapists, I think, maybe.
Someone came on and was like, I'm a comedian and I've never spoken about this live before, but I was in a Christian rock band. Like, these levels of like deep lore that hold on. So Christian children's storybook writer.
Yes.
What stories were in your canon? What were you writing, Esmé?
Well, I don't think I knew I was writing Christian's fiction until like I had my first. This sounds so wanky. I had my first like novel get published when I was 16.
Oh my!
And I was like, oh my god, like I'm an author.
Yeah.
And it was the same year that 50 Shades of Grey took off.
Yep.
And my name is E.L. James as well.
No. Get out of town.
Yeah. And so I got up at assembly at school and I was like, my book, I was a wanker at school.
Yeah. Ditto. It's fine. We're all wankers. Yeah. Go on, Esmé.
We all needed just a little bit of a shove at school and I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
I was like, sometimes I was like, maybe I should have been bullied. That was correct.
Yeah.
But I got up and I was like, my book's just come out. You can find me at E.L. James. And everyone looks it up. And I got this email from the headmaster being like, because 50 Shades of Grey wasn't big then.
Yeah.
And they were like, this was really inappropriate to plug at school.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
because I thought you wrote 50 First Shades.
Yes.
50 First Shades?
50 First Shades of Dates. What am I talking about?
And I was mortified. And my publisher, who I 16, didn't quite realize deep Christian ties in America. And so I ended up on the Amazon bestseller, #1, fiction, children's Christian fiction. But 2 weeks later, I was overtaken by Lego David and Goliath.
Fucking assholes.
I know.
Fucking
Lego David.
I've never been able to touch Lego since. It's like
they're your rivals.
Wait, what was the story of this? What was the novel's story?
Yeah.
What made it Christian?
Great question, because all I remember is
just no whips and chains.
No whips and chains. It was a love story with a ghost, and then
the Holy Spirit himself.
And then she was working at a cafe and wanted to save this cafe going out of business. And so she would spike everyone's drinks at the cafe with alcohol so that everyone got drunk and had a great time and they would come back. So there was nothing Christian.
That is so funny.
That is so...
That is deep lore.
Blood of Christ. Maybe that's what I was accidentally going for.
Okay, so you're 16.
Yep.
You've topped the Christian fiction category on Amazon.
As one does at 16.
As a 16-year-old author.
Yes.
Yep. And does your interest in kinky history, if you will, go as far back as 16? Were you interested
where did
in
it come from?
this special interest of yours as early as that? Or if not, where did it kind of come from? How did it start for you?
Do you know what? I thought this happened at university until really recently. I was archiving some, homemade videos from my camcorder back in the day, really into my movie maker.
Yeah.
And there was one CD and it just said contraception. I was like, I've got to fucking watch this. And I put it in and it is 13-year-old Esmé who has made this YouTube segment all about contraception education because I thought my school wasn't doing a good enough job at it. But it starts with, did you know that condoms used to be made as far back as ancient Rome? They made them out of the bladder of goats and sheep.
I literally
this
have
is what you were meant to do,
that
though. Isn't that so special?
That is your videos now.
That's so gorgeous.
But it was one of those, I was like, this is adorable. And then I compared it to videos that were out now and it was almost word for word the same content that I'm doing. And I'm like, I've just got no new material. I'm just regurgitating.
So evil. She's consistent. She has a style.
So funny.
I've just got better editors now.
Yeah.
That's so special. Yeah, you can almost do those is it real or AI, but it's you at 16 and you now the deep fake when they put them together. That's so fantastic.
So you also you are a doctor in this topic,
so cool.
which is possibly the coolest thing to me in the world. How often do you insist, I must know, on being called doctor?
Yeah, the doctor perks.
Doctor thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I thought I was going to do it all the time. I got it officially last year. And I've been really slack about it. I thought I was going to go change all my credit cards and my plane tickets and everything instantly. And then I realized, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
and if
literally.
you hop on that fucking plane with a doctor,
So true.
Yeah, they seat you next to people with medical issues.
Oh, true. And you're sitting there going,
You're just there
someone's
like-
having a heart attack and you're like, the condom was first invented. And they're like, this is not helping
You're
me.
just like, do some Kegels, I guess, babe. I don't know.
Everyone's going into like straight cardiac arrest. And I was like, well, Freud would say.
I have a question for you, Esmé, which is, can you explain to us and our listeners, almost as if we're kindergartners,
Yep.
your PhD and what it
What
was
it
all
is.
about?
Yeah.
Wrap it up in a bow for us, for those of us who don't know.
I love that. So my PhD was in the history of pornography as it started in literature, so in books and novels.
Yeah.
And so this goes back to the 18th century, England, France, where we start writing smut novels.
Yeah.
And so essentially I traced the start of the smut novel industry. I just got paid to read porn, I'm going to be honest. That's what I was doing.
You're just so cool. Keep going.
Yeah, and I argued that smut novels were kind of, their purpose was social change.
Yeah, sure.
Smut novels brought about the French Revolution, essentially. Like,
Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah,
What was
please,
that?
yeah, please,
Me going,
go on.
can you give that PhD level analysis in 3 minutes and go?
absolutely. Hi, welcome to TikTok.
Yeah.
But like, so pornography about Marie Antoinette.
Yep.
Great example.
Yeah.
Was prolific.
Yeah.
Everyone was writing about how Marie Antoinette was off having orgies. She was cucking her husband. She was having lesbian affairs, and she had, dildos aplenty.
Yeah.
And these were published in pamphlets. There's operas about Marie Antoinette just getting around
Yeah.
that you can still, listen to and find.
Yeah.
And all of this, wasn't true, but because it's the first time that we invent the printing press kind of booms, people get to write smut and make-believe porn for the first time.
Yeah.
And so it instills this level of anger in the public because they're like, we can't afford to eat, and yet Marie Antoinette's just fucking it to our heart's content.
So fascinating.
And so we have so much pornography that leads to anger.
Yeah.
So when Versailles was eventually stormed, some of the acts that the people who were revolting committed were actually based on the pornography that they'd read.
Yeah, wow.
So it was having such an influence on our minds. And one of my arguments are, if pornography was invented to bring about social change and revolution, then we need to be far more conscious of how we consume pornography today.
Yeah.
Because it is capable of changing your social opinions, your political opinions, your mindset. Like it's a form of political protest. So that's essentially what I did for 3 years of my life.
That is so cool. If I would consider, I can put my hands up and say I'm not educated enough on history. I'm definitely not a history buff.
Yeah.
I failed history in high school, I have to admit. If I, Samantha Andrew, wanted to pick up a smutty novel, what would be your recommendation for the first one I could start with?
Question.
Oh, that's great. Fanny Hill. Fanny Hill is the
Fanny
first
Hill.
pornographic novel.
Okay.
And it,
Ever?
Oh yeah, ever.
Wow.
Ever.
When
Yeah.
was that written?
1749. And it was so controversial that on the day of its publication, there was an earthquake that shook London. And the one of the priests there was like, this earthquake has come down by God,
my God.
because of the
because of the
publication of Fanny
novel.
Hill.
Wow. Fanny Hill.
But it's an incredible book. It's essentially this sex worker in London, and she recounts all of her different experiences.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
it starts with her in bed with another woman and, getting fingered by another woman for the first time.
Yeah.
And so she kind of has a queer awakening. I really hope there wasn't any content warnings on this.
Oh, no,
that's fine.
No, go for gold.
It starts, with her having this queer awakening, to her watching other people have sex, to her, engaging in flagellation, to, seeing fetishists who were obsessed with her hair and gloves.
Yeah.
But it's really tongue-in-cheek funny.
Yeah.
It's not just serious
Obsessed
porn.
with that.
Yeah.
How wild and so cool as well that the first ever graphic sex novel
Yeah.
starts with a queer.
It's
brilliant.
That's
Queer beginning.
wild.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've ever learnt from your studies that you've applied practically in your day-to-day life? Anything that you've, does anything come to mind from your studies that you now apply in how you go about your day?
Do you know what? I think I've always thought that history is very much the study of empathy. You know, you're learning to relate to people who are so far removed from you. And really nothing brings you closer to that practice of empathy than conversations about sex and identity. Like, they're very vulnerable conversations.
Yes. Well, and sex feels like this thing that transcends,
Yes.
which is obviously what
Not
your
just
entire
sex.
study is about.
Yeah.
It's like people have been having sex since the beginning of time. It's one of the few things that I feel like has never changed. It's such a what's it called? Like a consistent.
Yeah. And, you know, we wouldn't be here if we weren't having sex. And I think one of the things that I've really picked up from my studies is that when you're dealing with, be there like letters from James Joyce or Mozart and reading about their sex lives, you're kind of reserving judgment and you're there to understand. And I find that that has made me a better person when it comes to being able to talk to people about things. Your initial reaction isn't, even if you have that shock, you're not there to judge, you're there to understand before you kind of converse.
Totally.
So I think that's been a great thing that I've kind of accidentally picked up, I hope.
Well, some of my favorite content of yours is all the stuff that has taught, because I'm a proud, like, I watch every single one of your reels. I watch all of Esmé's content. I'm a real stan. And I think some of the coolest stuff I see from you is like all of this evidence of these like kinks and fetishes that everyone I think likes to believe is really quite new or quite contemporary. Can you talk a little bit about that, about your kind of discovery of like how all of these things have existed for as long as they have?
I love it because I think kinks and fetishes, when you prove that they've been around since the ancient world, it instantly dispels so many stigmas we have about sex.
Yeah.
You know, back in the ancient world, we already have evidence of like BDSM practices, of engaging in pain and pleasure for the sake of worship. But you know, we were going around worshipping feet back in the ancient times. And then
old as time. A foot fetish, old as time.
It really is. That's like number one.
Yeah.
But then as you go through, you know, and you come to that 18th century period, you have, you know, laws that had to come about in London because everyone was engaging in too much spanking and strangulation, that too many people were getting hurt, that they had to put laws in place in brothels in particular about like how strangulation practices were allowed.
Right.
The spanking became so popular that it became known as the English vice. Yeah, and men in particular were engaging in a lot of spanking. Like, you would go to work and on your lunch break you would pop to the brothel to get spanked because they believed it was going to be like good for their blood flow.
What was the reason for it? Good for their what, sorry?
Good for their blood flow. And like getting spanked, they thought would help get them harder for longer. So especially if men were struggling with like any kind of infertility or not being able to stay hard long enough, they would engage in spanking, and there is some truth to that. So we were engaging in all of these behaviors, but it wasn't really until we have the likes of Freud that come around that we start giving them a name. And I think what's really important about that is that when we coin the terms kinks and fetishes, we're not doing so to understand those behaviors. We're doing them to diagnose perversion. We're trying to define what's normal and what's not normal in the bedroom. And so all of a sudden, from that 19th century moment, we now have a difference between what is your normal behavior in the bedroom that's acceptable and what casts you as like a freak.
Because I was going to ask, even in those like earliest of days, it's so interesting. Was there the same level of, I feel like it's safe to say that in 2025, culturally or like socially, like not heaps of men would be like, and I love to be spanked, and what? Like,
and what?
and they should, because, and what? But has that level of shame and that kind of like deep cultural like shame come about? Was that all linked to this, like the growth of the word fetish and kink? That's kind of what you're saying. Like all of a sudden it wasn't just you were having sex, but it was like, oh, you like to have weird sex or...
Absolutely.
So fascinating.
They're so connected. And it really wasn't that long ago in history, which is crazy. You know, it wasn't until the 18th century, for example. You can see I fucking love the 18th century. That's my fucking jam.
That's your jam.
That's my jam. But that's when we, you know, invent the terms homosexuals. We invent the terms masturbation. That's when we start to kind of medicalize our idea of sex. And so what's really crazy is that, again, we didn't think anything of masturbation until we coined the term. And then we're like, if you masturbate, you will go blind and you will have epilepsy and you will die a painful death.
Yeah.
But up until then, we were just
doing it. No one was talking about it and
really
calling it
happy.
something.
And there's so many illustrations of, like famously we have that example of witches and broomsticks, and that women were kind of getting off with so many handles that we kind of invented this term. Of the witches riding broomsticks and everything. There was various things that we've done to just get ourselves off that we didn't really care about. But when you medicalize it, we do.
Yeah. Being a historian, is it hard to watch shows like Bridgerton or a musical like Hamilton? What are the inaccuracies that you see where you sit there as a historian and you go, oh my God, that's actually not what
you have to,
like.
Can you please talk about the finger banging in the carriage of it all?
Please talk on it, because I would love to know.
I think that was I love fantasy his history. Like, I love those takes because I can kind of sit back and rinse my hands, and then occasionally I'll be like,
Mama's not at work today.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, well, there's that one, and that was the carriage scene of Bridgerton for me, because that's hot.
Unpack.
Two people getting finger blasted in the back of a carriage, and like this, I was watching it with my best friend, and I was like, that was so much fun, and I was like, it couldn't actually happen though.
That's so cool that you just know that. You're like, anyway.
And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, it wouldn't really happen. And then I've kind of made this entire thesis around it, because I mean, there's a few points in the positive for Colin Bridgerton. So women at the time didn't wear underwear. They didn't wear underwear. There's like these like open crotch drawer petticoat things, but there's no underwear as we know them today. So finger blasting, very convenient. He chose a really good act.
I'll let him know.
We also have some erotic literature about finger blasting around the time. So that's cool. However, carriages have very high centers of gravity, and any movement from the passengers, such as finger fucking, would have caused the carriage to tip over, which would have caused them to fall out, presumably to their deaths. But Penelope Featherington just kind of would have like her ass cheeks in the air as she fell down.
So funny.
So they could have finger blasted, but it would have led to both of them probably dying.
Worth it.
So good. That's so hot to me as well, because you're an influencer and would probably get invited to, the pre-screening of this and the Netflix event of that, and you at Bridgerton going, well, actually, like, that's so fantastic. We have to move on to our hotline because we posted a question box and we were flooded with questions for you because you're quite simply so loved.
Bring, bitch. I kind of have a question, and you two seem really cool and hot and smart. Hello?
Here is question number 1. Please ask Esmé, where does she get all her costumes from? Where do you
The
get your
people
costumes?
need to know.
They're terrific.
No.
Where do you get them from?
Well, I mean, I get some of them from Mel and Sam's show.
God, you're good.
I get
Also, the blue, limited edition.
Limited
Not a lot of people have blue.
It's signed as well, actually, so it's even
so
more limited edition.
gorgeous.
I get a lot of my clothes from Camilla. Camilla and I have a great relationship, so they really do like some of my most eccentric ones. And I've got a good relationship with Selkie as well. They make my recent kind of petticoat ones that I'm wearing for my show are all from Selkie. So,
so
Cool. Great. Next question was this. Have you got any fun, sexy facts about Marie Antoinette? I heard rumors she was queer, and then the eye emoji.
Oh, well, I mean, that's great because we've done some Marie Antoinette today.
Literally.
All of the like operas and like orgies she was apparently a part of.
That's perfect.
I don't know for sure if she was queer, but I do love the fact that she's probably like the gossip pamphlet queen of the era. Everyone wanted to know what she was up to.
She was the it girl. People were wondering.
Allegedly gave great head,
True. This next one is, how did they, if they even did, shag during diseases like the plague and the Spanish flu?
Great question.
That's a fantastic question.
So really fun fact about this, when we go back through erotic literature throughout history during big pandemics, there is a huge increase, like an unignorable increase in erotic content about feet.
Wow.
Why is that?
All
Where
throughout
does
history.
that come from?
Wow.
Yeah, so
Do they know?
13th century gonorrhea epidemic, the troubadours start being like, we love feet with arches. Like they just change from like beautiful women and their lips to like singing praise about feet.
Wow.
16th century syphilis epidemic, we developed the fashion of toe cleavage, which is like when you have like that little gap there. That starts becoming a thing that's in a lot of paintings. 19th century syphilis epidemic, again, we have the brothels start kind of really serving foot content on a large scale. And even in the recent AIDS epidemic, we see a huge increase across pornographic magazines that are all featured on feet.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm keen to know what's happened during our COVID.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I'm really keen. Mum and I have just finished working on a big survey together about this, and I want to see if we've gone to feet. But yeah, during big epidemics in history, whether they're pandemics or, sexually transmitted disease epidemics, we turn to feet.
Do you have any hypothesis on why that would be?
Yeah.
There is some theories that there's like a biological reason for us to be interested in feet.
Yeah.
Like one that's never been confirmed, but is that the area of the brain that's responsible for feeling in your feet is really close together for the area responsible for feeling in your genitalia. And so it was proposed that in some people they could cross over. Which is why
the same with nipples. Some people can feel the same kind of sensation, right?
Yeah. Well, and so one of the like odd things about the feet one is, which is probably the same thing, that in patients who've actually lost their feet, this person was looking at phantom limb syndrome, which is where you can still feel your foot as if it was there. But rather than just feeling the sensation of a foot, they were getting turned on. They were feeling sexually aroused.
Oh, wow.
Which led this researcher, Dr. Ramachandra, to essentially propose that maybe foot fetishes are so common because lots of people have cross-wiring.
Because it literally is cross-wiring in the brain.
So cool. Okay, this next question.
You're amazing. Every single time you answer anything, I'm just like, how goes that brain though? I feel like a fool.
No, what's really funny?
So I'm like, and what else? Tell him.
It's very funny because previous to this, we recorded an episode where I was like, how crazy were those tea towels in primary school with our faces on them? And that was the opening segment.
Shit, actually, that was really weird.
No, thanks for being so lovely, Esmé.
And do you know what? That was crazy, Sammy. It was. And I loved it.
Absolutely wild. Now, Dr. Esmé Louise James.
Yeah.
Was it possible for dames and lords to get knee deep in the passenger seat?
Whoa.
Well, I mean, it seems like dames and lords couldn't really get down in a lot of carriages until later on.
Yep.
So they could do a little bit of chapel roan as carriages became a little bit more sturdy. And also you would have to often bypass your chaperone. Oh, and also I should mention that if you are getting knee deep in the passenger seat of a carriage, the driver can hear everything. Yep. Like there's no windows on that bad boy. So like as you're like getting eaten out.
There's no privacy.
Yeah. There's nothing. Like the horse rider, the horsey, they can hear it all.
They can hear it all. The Uber can hear it all. That's fantastic. I would like you, because it's come through our question box about are you releasing any more books? Before you answer that question, can you please talk about your book, Kinky History?
I can.
Yeah, let me chuck it back over to you. Before, when both of you were talking, I was just barreling the lens going, book. She has a book.
Talk about Ms. Author, not the first book in your canon, but
famously not the first.
Please talk to us about this book.
Okay, so Kinky History is a collection of a lot of these sordid stories.
Yep.
But it's also mixed with contemporary research that I did with my mum about what we get up to in the bedroom. Yep. So at the back of the book here, there's like a series of stats about 15,000 people sent in about what they get up to in the bedroom.
Oh, wow.
So I compare a lot of things that are historical to what people have sent in.
Oh, wow.
But then all of that is mixed with it's set around a fictional dinner party because I fucking love a dinner party.
Yeah.
And
in an
so,
outfit like this, of course
you love a dinner
party, Esmé.
and so as we're kind of telling these stories, we're bringing it to life with, Albert Einstein getting raunchy on the table, tango dancing with Virginia Woolf, just to help tell these stories, because I think so much of history can be so dry, but these are really fun stories. So it's just a great way to bring
inject
it to life.
it with some life.
How many years in the making was this book? When did you first come up with this idea to then when did it get published? What was the timeline?
Not long. I think it was 9 months.
Is that
It was
common?
9 months.
Or is that pretty out of the ordinary?
That was a pretty tight turnaround. And it was completed along the same time as my PhD. So this was like I do not recommend, don't do this level of
That's
madness.
Yeah.
But there were so many stories that, I had told so many times, and the research was there that we were able to put it together.
Yeah.
And, my mum, who was working on the research, is sending me messages being like, hey, Esmé, I've just finished up oral today. Like, it should be done by tomorrow. Have you done spanking? So we've kind of like divided and conquered a lot of the modern research.
And because, so your mum is a statistics person,
Yes.
works in statistics. Yeah, right. And so that's why, if I can plug for you, if you can't tell, guys, I'm a stan. So as you've also just released a TV show called Sextistics, which is with your mum,
It is
right?
with my
Yeah.
mum.
Do you want to tell people about what they can find in your show?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So we kind of we put out another survey together, another global survey. And this time, where in the book we'd asked people questions based on other surveys about sex that had been done in the past, we kind of scrapped everything that had been done, and we decided to put a call out to the public to be like, what do you want to see on surveys like this? And we found that people wanted to talk about sex in a way that wasn't medicalized. We want to know about our desires and our kinks and, things like how neurodivergence can affect our sex life, how menopause, how, different factors of our life can change how we relate to sex throughout our life. So we put together this research. We put the call out there, and then Screen Australia very kindly has now funded this docuseries for us, where we do a mix of unpacking this incredible data that we have about what really goes on in our bedrooms. But then it's all very, very camp and theatrical. Mum and I are in this like candy fever dream laboratory being like, where is the G-spot? We have a puppet called Cummy the Cum Snake.
I would love to have heard when you're coming up with the names for that, and landing on Cummy the Cum Snake is absolutely perfect.
The series accidentally, I think just because we found it funny at the time, we had this one cameo from Cummy, and then Cummy's now become a main character, and the series kind of covers Cummy's like learning about sex with us. So it's kind of like Avenue Q, I guess. Very Sesame Street for adults. But we also, we're going to be talking to a lot of different people and experts to also just get on ground understanding of sex.
Do you have a dream expert that you could have on the show?
Mel and Sam.
Whoa. We come on, we're like, and sex is...
We would tank your viewership. We'd come in and go, those girls, why were they singing and they didn't know much?
No, that's
no
perfect.
facts, but vibes through the roof.
I'll bring on an improv song section and we can see how we go.
Esmé, can I ask you kind of like an overarching, it's not in the hotline, but it's kind of related to, I know with the book you were talking about kind of the stats you had in the back of the book and then stories from kind of current to kind of meld the two. What would you say that overarchingly, based on, with the knowledge that you have, what is something in your brain that you go, God, that is something that has never changed about sex. That trend is the same. And what's something that you go, sex is approached today quite differently from before, and in what kind of way?
That's great. There's a few that really stand out to me. This is so silly, but one that was so interesting was anal sex.
Yeah.
Because I use it as an example a lot about how sex acts are also quite political. You can see increases of them at certain times, and they tell a story.
Yeah.
And there was actually a study done based in Melbourne about how many people are having anal sex. Like, we're apparently one of the biggest cities in the world for a little backdoor fun. Well done, Melbourne.
Why does that actually, it doesn't surprise me, but in a way that I can't pinpoint.
It just does make sense.
Yeah.
But, so there's been an increase over the last 5 years, particularly in the pandemic, of backdoor engagement, which is interesting, again, because you're trying to stay away from people's faces.
Yeah,
That's
the distancing.
Yeah, the distance of it.
Social distancing, very sensible. But, it tells different stories of, back in medieval times, you could get accused of witchcraft if you were thought to have engaged in anal sex.
Yeah.
Because anal sex and rimming in particular were like the kiss of the devil.
Yeah.
Whereas, while a few years ago you could be condemned and burned at the stake for rimming, now now Melbourne's just going for it because it was socially conscious.
Fascinating.
In our black turtlenecks with our oat flat whites. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, it's so good. We're going to move into a new segment, but let's be honest, this new segment is just more parameters for Esmé to wax lyrical about the kinky things that she knows.
And for us to go, popcorn. Again!
Welcome to the named Kinky Ratty History Corner. It's absolutely brilliant with Dr. Esmé Louise James. Okay.
We have a running joke on this pod that between Sam and I that like if I do an impression or something that Sam likes, she's like, you're like a vending machine and I can just put a coin in and go again. And I feel like that's us to you right now. We're like, go again. Do another one.
Puppet.
Do another fun fact.
I'm going to ask you some kinky questions for you to answer if that's okay for our rats.
Yeah.
All right, first one. Where is it? Here we go. Were there sex toys back in the day, and what were they?
The oldest sex toy is 28,000 years old.
28.
It was found in a German cave in 2004 in 14 fragments, and it is a 20 centimetre long siltstone phallic object.
Wow.
And it was determined to be a sex toy because, you know, it resembled a phallus, and in the official research, it was, quote, highly polished at the top from overuse.
Wow.
Work.
I imagine
Work.
Like when ice carvings and it's like super skinny. That is so. Did you bring it in today, Esmé?
I brought
I just
it
feel like
here.
you're not putting in the effort.
And so there were dildos. What else was there? What are some of the other earliest kind of sex toys?
Following from dildos, I mean, we have lots of ancient dildos up until 28,000 years old. We have strap-ons from the ancient world. We have double-ended phalluses, which, like, you know, for two people's enjoyment at once, that date back over 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Cock rings, 13th century. You know, that was made out of the eyelids and eyelashes of goats.
Oh my!
I saw some really cool, like early age, like when I went to the Museum of Desire, they had some of the like earliest like vibrators,
Yes.
and
How
things
does
that
they
were like
work?
these massive contraptions that I can't even. Some of them looked like almost brush heads, kind of that they would put on like a lever type thing that would go over the top of like your clit and stuff.
Early vibrators are really scary, but what I think is very fun about vibrators, which are just over 100 years old, is that they were originally invented for men. And so vibrators were invented to kind of make a man more virile, but, you know, stimulating his perineum there. And then vibrators became a really common household product by the 1940s, 50s, where they were advertised as a back massager. You could use them as a back massager to get rid of your wrinkles. There's like a brilliant advertisement that's like advertising the vibrator, and it's like the perfect Christmas present for all the family.
So funny. Reminds me of that scene in Sex and the City when Samantha goes to return. She's like, I'd like to return this this vibrator. It's like, ma'am, that is a neck massager. And she's like, well, it's broken. It burned my clit off. That is so good. Okay. In today's world, if someone's feeling hot, right, they might put on a little crop top and a little crop skirt if that's their vibe. What would be the equivalent outfit? I say back in the day, you can give me a kind of time period. What would that outfit equivalent be?
There was a really slutty fashion trend in the Regency period where rather than you would normally layer your petticoats over one another. But during the Regency, some scandalous women went to only wear one petticoat.
Naughty, cheeky.
And to kind of double it up, they would actually dampen their dress, and it would make it would cling to the petticoat and kind of highlight the fashion of their body. So there's all of these like caricatures of the time of, you know, these Regency ball gowns kind of like getting stuck in their butt cracks and everything. But that was like the
first wet t-shirt competition.
That's what I thought of.
It's wanton women of the balls. Like that's what you would do.
Wow.
Yeah, wearing one petticoat became really scandalous to the point where there's like erotic literature at the time, and they'll be like, you know, she was only wearing but one petticoat, and that would be like, okay, whore. Like,
Oh my God.
That's great. I want to know, once again, the term back in the day. You can pick a kind of a time. Back in my day.
Our
back
version
in
of
the day.
history is back in the day.
What was the name for a fuckboy? Did it have a certain name?
Yeah, there's lots of different ones that we have for fuckboy. You know,
Having multiple is so hard. I'm like, just go on, you're like, what time period? Tell me.
There's a really great resource called Green's Dictionary of Slang, and you can get it on the internet, and you can type in stuff like fuckboy, and it will give you all of the various definitions throughout the time. But you know, you'll have stuff like jolly man and jolly man. There's a lot like C-word chaser. That was a very common one back in the day.
Yep.
But you know, some of them aren't as flattering to the man as well. But we were naming and shaming playboys since way back.
Since the beginning of time.
Was there a name for orgy that used to exist?
Do you know what? I'm not too sure, because I mean, there is a few kind of conceptions.
Fail! You didn't know one thing!
I'm like, you should probably know it in your head.
You are our personal Google machine and you didn't know the answer to one question? Fail!
There's a lot of ones in like Fanny Hill where she is in orgy situations, but they're always so polite. And she's like, the gathering of the merry folk. Like, it's so
I'm familiar with Fanny Hill. I'm kind of going to be trying it tonight. It's my first smart novel, but thanks for trying, Esmé. Is there an audiobook version?
There isn't, but I'm really petitioning because I want to do it. Like, I really want to do it.
You should do it.
You should do a reading of Fanny Hill.
Right?
Oh, you'd be the perfect person.
I agree.
Do you also have the perfect vocal onset, like vocal style?
Have you done narration of audiobooks before?
Just my own, which was...
Is that a world you'd want to get into?
It was a lot of fun. I am actually such a bad reader off the cuff.
Sure.
And that is one of the flaws I've had since I was little, which is really strange for like a bestseller in children's Christian author.
Truly. I was just about to say that. My personal favorite Christian best-selling authors have all been really good at reading out loud. So that's off trend, man.
It's crazy. But I was trying to read my own book, and I was like, I just recovered from COVID at the time. I was so sick. And I could see the producer in the other room be like, did you actually write this book? Because I'm like, the orgies.
I think that's true, though. Reading your own text can stump you. It's the same as when we're learning lyrics for our shows, just to tie back to the dumb shit we do. Sometimes learning our own songs, I'm like, I can't learn this. It doesn't make sense, but learning something that existed before is so much easier.
You come back to your work with like a new level of cringe, and you're like, did I really write that?
Hey, you can't be good at anything. You can't literally be a TED talker, a podcaster, an author, a sexologist, a historian, and be good at reading out loud.
You got to be a little bit cringe.
Yeah, you got to have some.
Hope you're ready for the most general question ever with the most back in the day energy. What is one of your favourite fun facts about historical sex in general? It can be about a story, a person, a fun fact in time. Tell me.
Well, look, I mean, one that I always love is just Mozart's Leck mich im Marsch, which is a song he wrote called Lick Me in the Arse.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Obsessed with that.
Love a bit of Mozart.
Me pretending I don't know. I've seen the TikTok. Me going, what's that all about? Tell Sam.
And I love it because it's like it takes someone who we consider really serious and very prestigious, like child prodigy. And then he was actually writing a song for all of his friends to sing drunk in 13 rounds. And it was like, lick my ass nicely, lick it nice and clean, lick my ass. Like that. Just for him and his friends to sing. I was like, we play his music to babies to make them smart.
Yeah.
That is so funny. All the early learning centres and all the parents going, hold on a minute. What's going on here?
It's in German?
It's in German.
Yeah.
And when all of his wife, Constance Mozart, brought his collection of works after his death to be published, that one came with a little note saying like, you may want to edit this, which I think is so funny. But like he has all of these letters. Actually, do you know what? I finished my book with one of Mozart's letters because...
Spoiler alert.
I know, because he's so
Read it out loud.
This he wrote to his cousin, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Yeah. I wish you a good night. Shit in the bed with all your might. Sleep with peace on your mind and try to kiss your own behind.
And try to kiss your own behind.
Mozart.
That's some Mozart for you. You're welcome.
That is beautiful. Hey, that was Kinky History, Ratty History, Kinky History back in my day corner with Esmé. Thank you very much for that. You are just so knowledgeable. This has been such a joy.
I'm having
not even
so
done.
much fun.
The orgy question's going to haunt me. Yeah. Like, we'll be getting messages from me tonight on Instagram being like, here's the
I actually did know.
That's so good.
You in 5 years being like, that one time I didn't know an answer to a question on rat bag.
So good.
Esme, what we are going to do with you next is a speed round.
Yes.
That we love to do whenever we get a guest on. It's always different questions, but we're just going to try and power through as many of these as you can. There's no wrong or right answer. It's literally whatever comes to your head first.
Done.
Are you in?
I'm so in.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Let's fucking go. Esme.
Yes.
One of the kinkiest motherfuckers in history was...
James Joyce.
Very nice. My go-to karaoke song is
Good luck, babe.
fantastic.
I wish more people knew about...
Sex.
Fantastic.
Where the G-spot is.
Hey, very good. Here. A show that I'm binging at the moment is
Dimension 20 Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my God, what is that?
Women Contain Multitudes. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Okay, the world would be better if we all did more...
Anal sex.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic. My childhood friends would describe me with these 3 words.
I can't. I had none.
Because you were writing Christian fiction by going,
really
I kind of wrote 50 Shades of Grey. Did you, Bianca? Then get the fuck out of my
You're going
face.
3 words shoved in locker.
I had a pet rock called Reading because reading rocks.
Your 3 words are meeting with publisher. No time.
I'm busy.
That's so good. That's so good.
Okay.
That was a knee slap, O'Brien.
Very good. Make myself laugh. That's all that counts. Okay, Esme, fuck, marry, kill these 3 things. Butt stuff, foot stuff, titty stuff.
Ooh. Fuck titty stuff, marry butt stuff, and kill foot stuff.
Love that.
Nice. If there's blank, I'm in.
I was going to say orgies.
You absolutely
You wouldn't know about that, would you, Esme?
brilliant.
I have no idea, but I would love to experience one.
Perfect.
Okay, some people might not know this about me, but I'm actually...
A massive fucking nerd.
Yeah. I think we got
babe, I
that.
think everyone knows that.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that's so good. My signature scent at the moment is
Miss Dior.
which one?
J'adore. J'adore. That's it. I make my partner buy it for me whenever I'm mad.
As you should. It's like a push present, but just all the time because you're
Yeah.
you. That's fantastic.
I love this question. If I had to make a new ghostwriter name for myself up on the spot right now, it would be...
E.L. James. Dr. E.L. James.
Love
Dr.
that.
E.L. James, love it. If I could interview anyone on a red carpet, it would be.
Look, right now it would be Chapel Roan.
Oh,
Great answer.
Yeah.
This is a would you rather for you.
Yeah.
Would you rather never get credit for any of your work again, or get credit for all of your work, but also on top of that, be miscredited for an equal amount of bad and incorrect work?
I'm going to take the latter because I don't think I would hyperventilate. I'm like, that's my work.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I'll take the 50 Shades accusation.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, that really tied in actually to the law.
My final one is, apart from sex and history, another thing I'm extremely passionate about is...
I'm gonna say Dungeons and Dragons.
You absolutely can.
You're
That's my current
perfect.
special interest.
You're
okay,
perfect.
I'm hyperfixating.
I wish you would. Absolutely
And
fine.
final one for you, Bob. Complete this sentence. I can't leave the house without my...
Stilettos.
Yeah.
Love that.
Are you
Yeah,
in heels most days?
Yes, during the pandemic, I had to wear house heels because my feet couldn't adjust to walking flat all the time.
You're literally perfect to me. I want to wrap you up in Glad wrap and do one of these ones and go, nobody touches.
I know.
She's mine.
So perfect.
I love you.
Glam. That was speed round. Thank you very
I loved
much.
it. It was very eye-opening for me.
We're at nearly at the end, but you got
We
kick-ons.
are, yeah. So we have a segment on our pod called Kick-Ons. And Kick-Ons for us is like big hypothetical questions we would ask at a Kick-Ons at the end of a
love
party,
that.
end of a big night.
Gorgeous.
Shocker, the one I've made for you is kinky history related. I hope that's okay.
What?
We really
That's
said
insane.
your special interest, it's all we're going to talk to you about.
And I'm like here being like, do you want to ask me about being a wizard in my current D&D campaign?
Literally, yeah. So this is the question. I feel like you've quasi kind of already answered, but you can go in more. Like we have a couple minutes for you to really go in hard. Think about this almost as if like you have 5 minutes to wax lyrical about why the answer to this question is. Okay. So the question that I had was, if you were given an ultimatum and you could only study one period of history for the rest of your life, which period would it be and why? What in that period really gets your blood going? What is so fascinating about it to you personally? What would you go in on?
I mean, I have to now go on the 18th century Europe because obviously I've spent like 4 years doing it and I'm still not bored.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that people were just trying to they were prolifically writing so much porn because they finally got access to a printer.
Yeah.
And it gives the energy of like a child who has access to like their home printer when they're 10 years old and starts printing out magazines of their Beanie Kids. Not that I did that. Like, you know what I
did that with my scene with the nail game, and I printed about 800 pages of just the nails that I made on coloured ink.
Yeah.
My dad went, come in here immediately, and I went, what? I needed to print my art.
Absolutely.
That's what I was picturing as well, like a printer where you're just printing out your like pictures. You're like, just because I can.
So I feel like there's no shortage of like poorly written porn from that time. And there's nothing I love more than poorly written porn.
Yeah.
Or like when they're like for the first time, you know, saying naughty words and they're like, and then they fucked diddly. It's great.
I love that. And so what about beyond the porn of it all? What else is there in that kind of era that really like grabs your attention?
I think it's where we change our ideas about everything. You know, I've kind of mentioned it's when we start defining
the
homosexuality
labelization of everything, right?
Yeah, and so everything changes from like our formation of family, our values, and I think it tells us so much about how we got here today. If we kind of see history as this like big circle, there's always these tipping points and turning points, and I think we're just still growing out of our 18th century turning point, where we're still, you know, we have our like don't king shame me, you know, we've finally come around for stuff that started in that era. So I think it makes you better understand the world today. So I would absolutely just keep digging into the 18th century.
So cool. I have a random kind of like side note question. Do you find, because obviously I feel like it's very common knowledge that a lot of people get squeamish or get embarrassed or get a bit anxious talking about sex. Do you find even at this kind of academic level of talking about it where you're at, do you still find some people in the space or some things where there's still work to do, even at that academic level of like shedding that shame around talking about sex?
Absolutely. I had I've had such different experiences in the academic context where I think especially here in Melbourne in an art scene, you become quite echo chambering. You don't realize quite how conservative a lot of other places around the world are. And so when I've done, you know, conferences around the world and I start reading out, you know, sections of Fanny Hill or something, and you're seeing the like kind of reactions from old academics being like, no,
you don't know what to do with it.
But I think what is very fun for me is that when you get to kick-ons at these conferences, those same older men who are like looking squeamishly, trying to pretend that like they didn't hear you and that's unacceptable, are the same ones who will get too drunk and start confessing their like kinky secrets to you in private, which is a nice reminder that even the people who on the surface don't want to talk about things actually really do. In fact, they're the people who are most desperate to have those conversations.
And probably most need to as well, right? Like have the most work to do to liberate themselves.
How do you navigate it, obviously that being your area of expertise, but like you just said, people coming and divulging all this information about their sex life. Do you ever feel like you have to switch that off and be like, I actually don't want to be talking to you about that right now. I want to have my canapé and my wine and
go see Beetlejuice the musical.
Do you ever feel like a lot of people lump a lot of personal information on you that you don't really want to hear?
Yes, absolutely. You get a lot of info dumping about like quite like graphic information. And you're like, oh, there you do. What with your wife? It's one of those that you're like, oh, time and place. And then also you've got the side of like, what a privilege to be the person that people just want to confine their sex lives to.
Totally.
Like I kind of, if I'm going to be anyone at the party, I want to be the person that you feel like you can randomly trust with your secrets about like titty torture. Like I want to hear that.
I love that.
Oh, Esmé, we just think that you're the absolute coolest.
You really are.
I think you're both the coolest. I'm mutually fangirling over here. Please.
No,
we really love you. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
We're not over yet. Gonna end with a musical improv because it literally wouldn't be a rap bag up without it.
Actually wouldn't.
Singing is not annoying, and everything is better as a song.
Guys, hello. We've had a brief chat off camera to decide what the Hit It Toots will be, and we have landed on we will be doing a musical reenactment of the finger fucking in the carriage.
Yes.
From Bridgerton. featuring Dr. Esmé, Louise, James. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so unprepared for this moment.
Please
Let's
enjoy
get into it.
whatever this is.
I can start if you want.
Sure. All right. I'd love that.
Penelope, come over here. I'd like you to see something. It kind of sits in my undercarriage. Did you get the pun? Anyway, sit down next to me. Wow, have a look out at those fields. But I can't help but notice that underneath my skirt and petticoat, I'm feeling a little bit wet. I'm feeling a little bit ready to finger blast you before we go down to the lake.
Thanks for that monologue, Colin. I would really love to tell you how I'm feeling.
Can I please confirm that I'm still dropping you off at the Bridgerton's house after this?
Shut the fuck up, driver. I'm having a little moment with Colin.
With Penelope.
With Colin.
With the horse.
When you drop me at the post office, will you put your fingers in my clitoral hood?
Yes, I sure would. You must see a lot of things as the driver. What do you see in this carriage?
A lot of horny people like yourself, sir.
Little horsey, could I offer you a bite of this apple, sir? Please tell us, little horsey, after I've done fingering, would you like to drop us at our location? I was going to do a sex thing and then I realized that's really weird. We were not talking about bestiality.
I famously have a giant horse cock, but we're not going to divulge that because it's the 18th century.
It's the 18th century.
And we're all fancy.
And would you finger blast me?
Finger blast me.
This season on Netflix, discover a whole new version of Bridgerton, dropping on April 10th.
I don't know.
Now,
What absolutely sent me about that was I tried about 7 times to answer the question that you started with being like, Penelope, how would you feel if I... And every time I was like, you've got a monologue in your heart. Get it out, girl.
Sam has always wanted to be Colin Bridgerton.
Yeah, it was really funny.
the only way through it was to monologue at the start to get me in. Otherwise, I would have been that getaway carriage within about a millisecond.
We would have gotten to horsecock real sooner.
That track, I was like, this track needs to go somewhere. It was just
I was
like
obsessed with it. It was very vibey.
Yeah,
Lots
it feels
of
like
freedom.
the filler song in the middle of an opera, but
Yeah.
like it's also really important for the horsecock plot.
You're such a theatre kid. You coming in and being like, do you need me to drop you off? I'm like, come on, Mary Poppins, step in time, chimney sweep. It was so good.
Strawberry Cellar 5 from, Oliver.
Yeah, literally. That
Oh my
was so spectacular.
Esmé, where can we find you? Where do you live? What's your Instagram?
Where do you live?
What's your address? What's your TikTok? What's your Instagram? Where can we find
Yeah,
you?
you're coming around for dinner. Let's go.
Yes.
You can find me at Dr. Esmé Louise, also Kinky History. You can listen to my podcast. You can find me across all my socials, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of the best things. And you can also buy my book.
Yeah.
Buy her book.
Where can online and what retailers sell it?
It's all over. It's all over. You can grab it at Amazon. Definitely buy it from your independent bookstore because we love independent bookstores.
Yes, we do.
And of course, you can also listen to my audiobook, which I really haven't sold. But maybe I actually do make not horse noises, but I make octopus sounds. So if that sells
Your
you,
audiobook is just you going, welcome to chapter... And then you just hear the producer going, Esmé, we just need to get one take. And it's just the whole conversation of you failing to do your audio. I'm listening to that version.
Babe, thank you so much for coming on our stupid little pod.
Thanks for having me.
You've
It's been great being a rat.
You've been literally stellar. And that's it, rats. We'll see you on Thursday for another rat food.
Yeah.
But fucking hell, what a joy. Love you.
Bye.
Squeak,
Love you.
squeak.
Squeak, squeak. Bye.
This is a Grouse House podcast.
Mel and Sam would like to acknowledge that this podcast was created and recorded on stolen land.
The original custodians of this land have had a rich history of storytelling for over 65,000 years, and we pay our respects to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, whose land we are making rat bag on.
Treaties were never signed, sovereignty was never ceded, always was and always will be Aboriginal land.